Welcome to Constructive Conversations, Building Canada's Stories. I'm your host, George Affleck. Thanks for joining me as we dig into the foundation of Canada's construction industry, learning from leaders and pioneers in the business. Today, I'm joined by Jeff Adams, Senior Executive at Fuelex Energy in British Columbia. Let's start the conversation now. Jeff, thanks for taking the time today to join us for Constructive Conversations. I think we should start off today by learning what Fuelex is and what you do, because you're a vital resource to support the construction industry. But you guys don't actually do construction yourselves. So, tell us about what you guys do.
Thanks, George. Fuelex is part of a larger organization, NX Energy. We are the bulk fuel and we're the Esso branded bulk fuel and mobile lubricant distributor in the Lower Mainland. We cover from the Sunshine Coast all the way up to Hope. Two of our other partners in NX Energy are NX Energy themselves on Vancouver Island. They cover the tip to tip of Vancouver Island, and Peace Country Petroleums that covers northern British Columbia, the Yukon, and Alberta. We service our customers by delivering them bulk fuel, bulk lubricants, packaged lubricants, and then we also can supply them with DEF, tanks, monitoring, and as well as full card lock systems.
It's a real mix of solutions and products there. You have actually, it seems like a pretty big customer base in terms of range. Can you talk a bit more about who your specific customers are? And I think they seem to go, they run the gamut, it seems.
Yeah, so when you cover from the Sunshine Coast all the way to Alberta, you have a diverse customer base. In the construction industry, we would service forestry, stone, sand, and gravel, concrete, and then all of the contractors that use those products to build our infrastructure and housing. We would also, outside of the construction industry, cover farmers, marine, and automotive.
So first of all, how did the company get into such a diverse portfolio of products and services? It seems like, you're known in the construction industry, but you're also working in all these other areas. How did you manage to diversify like that? Is that just a natural thing for a company like yours, like Fuelex?
Yeah, it is natural. When I came on board with Fuelex, I joined a lot of associations like ICBA and a few other ones that allowed us to diversify our product offering, not only our product offering, but also our customer base.
And you built it from there? I mean, you join an ICBA, but networking is one thing, converting them into customers is another. How do you make yourself stand out from your competition?
We stand out from our competition. We're a family-based, true to our roots, value-oriented company, and word of mouth really does help us. It gets out there that we're a good company to deal with. We do what we say, and we look after our customers.
How do you support the big guys and the little guys at the same time? Because I would say that if I was a little guy, I would be worried of a company like Fuelex. Oh, we only work with big guys. And how do you manage to balance that relationship with the smaller customers who haven't got huge, not spending a ton, and you've got these huge other massive companies that you work with? How do you balance that?
Well, that's a skill that's taken a while to perfect. We use the latest technologies for our larger customers, such as cellular tank monitoring, which enables us to be able to see where the level is in the customer's tank so we know when they're going to need fuel. The smaller customers, we've been delivering to them for quite a while, so we know on our runs when they're going to need fuel and when they're not going to need fuel. This makes us very efficient, which allows us to save our customers time and money.
That's cool. I didn't know. I obviously never thought about that. So the small guys are kind of like the way it always used to be, when you had to have these runs that you went on, and it was instinctive almost, or you had a schedule. The technology, though, how does that actually work when you are tracking it? Is it it's hooked up to your systems at your offices, and you kind of get warnings? How does that actually work?
Yeah, so our dispatch can see the tank levels of any tank that have a monitor in them, either on their computer or on an iPhone or Android phone. It will send us an email if the customer has a a fill event, or if they have actually a pull event where product is taken out of the tank. So it's actually also a security feature for our customers. When
From theft, you mean, or is that what that
Exactly,
means?
exactly, from
Oh,
theft.
okay.
So we can set a level of, say, 200 liters. If more than 200 liters is pulled out of that tank, an alarm or an email is sent to whoever has notifications set up for that tank. And we can set up
What
not
happens?
just dispatch, but everybody can have access to that tank if we like.
So everybody gets warned, and they get known if there's something like that happening, whether it's a theft or you're reaching a level that needs to be upgraded. So what happens if there is some kind of theft? Is there a do you contact police, or how do you actually deal with that?
Luckily, we haven't had to deal with that yet. But yeah, we would, all of the owners of the tanks have access to those emails. So they would get emailed, and then they can either have somebody attend the site, or they could phone the police and have the police attend the site.
These are things that I've never thought about it, but of course there has to be. You think about that. This is a very expensive product that people are. It's very desirable. I'd imagine there's a big challenge in your industry these days as a switch towards fuel efficiency. Can we unpack that and what that means to you and Fuelex?
Yeah, fuel is one of, if not the largest expenditure of a lot of our customers next to labor. Imperial Oil has developed new technologies and launched in 2019 a new product called SO Diesel Efficient. When diesel is burnt in an engine, it's atomized into the cylinder and then compressed with pressure and detonated, which is what creates the energy. When you have that 100% atomization, all of that fuel is detonated, and you realize the potential from all of that fuel. As injectors get older, they get dirty. And what happens is the fuel globulizes. And when that globulized fuel is sent into the cylinder, it can't be detonated, which means it's then just sent out into the exhaust, which is why we have all these new fancy DEF and DPF filters on our trucks and equipment these days. The SO Diesel Efficient has a proprietary detergent package in it that goes in and cleans those injectors, bringing it back as close as they can to factory settings so that they can get that 100% atomization of the fuel in the cylinder and get the complete detonation and use the energy from all of the diesel that they're sending through their vehicles. It also creates the ability to use less DEF product, because that's what's used in the DPF filters and the after treatment systems in the newer vehicles. So not only are they saving on the fuel, they're saving on the DPF filters, they're saving on the DEF product itself. It has actually been independently tested in a laboratory in the US, and Imperial Oil actually puts on paper that on average you'll save 2% on your fuel. However, we do have people in the market currently that are running it that have given us testimonials of saving 4 to 6%. And that's just on the fuel. That's not the DEF, that's not the downtime, that's not the regen time that you're going to save. So it's a huge efficiency in the market.
I would imagine also life of the actual equipment is longer if you're following that process, especially related to cleanliness. So you're looking at a 4% savings could be millions if you're spending that kind of money.
Absolutely. And yeah, the injectors, it extends the lifetime of the injector because you don't have the jamming and breaking of the pin that's actually inside of the injector.
And before that, the degradation before the sort of auto kind of cleaning system, you would see the life cycle, and that was significantly less. I mean, there's a savings, but there's also that length of life and that savings, which is probably hard to calculate, but I would imagine into the millions as well for bigger companies.
Absolutely. It's when you start having to pull injectors out of big rock trucks and having the injector's not the expensive part. The DPF filter that's $10,000 or $20,000 in these rock trucks is not the expensive part. It's that rock truck not being able to run for a day or two. That's the expensive part.
What other challenges are you facing these days? Obviously, we're going through interesting times, but what other challenges are you facing these days, and how are you dealing with them?
So a couple of the challenges are our perception and environmentalism. It seems these days everybody thinks that electric vehicles are going to take over the world and be the best environmental vehicle to use. I actually heard on a TED Talk the other day a fellow talking about electric vehicles in BC, and that if every household had one single electric vehicle, it would require not just one, but 2 Site C dams to charge those electric vehicles. So yes, technology is changing, but it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, I think there's definitely that assumption that it's like that electricity is magic and it comes from somewhere. It's obviously it has to generate it somewhere, and it's definitely a challenge, and people have to come to terms with that. One of the other areas that I'm curious about is your workforce and how you're building and growing your team and finding qualified candidates, because I'm hearing across the spectrum within the construction and building industry across Canada that this is one of their biggest challenges, that and diversity of the talent. And how are you guys facing that?
We've been very successful in building our business through acquisition and expansion. We started on Vancouver Island with a proprietorship with 2 employees. We now have over 150 employees. We've grown that, and we've done it by not forgetting our core values, which is do what's right, respect others, and perform with excellence. Doing it that way has also enabled us to hire and maintain some of the best employees in the market.
That's key for sure, and I think that it's one of the the competition out there. There's one thing, there's getting a job, and then the other is keeping those people on staff and keeping them happy and nurturing them, I think is key, and that sort of feeds into that for sure. What are the biggest opportunities in your industry these days? What do you think is the best opportunity for growth and for interest?
So I think a couple of opportunities out there. One would be social licensing and obviously the new technologies that are coming out. We need to be clear about what we're doing. We need to do what we say we're going to do, but we also need to be open and listen to other people's perspectives in our industry. As far as technology goes, it's changing every day. We need to be open to that change. We need to accept that change, and we need to be an early adopter of that change.
Yeah, adoption is key, I think, with relationship to anything in the industry, in the building and construction industry, and in technology, and it's interesting times, and I think that it seems like you guys are doing it right, and I appreciate you being here today, Jeff, and thanks very much for joining us on Constructive Conversations.
Thank you very much, George.
I'm George Affleck. Thanks for joining me at Constructive Conversations, Building Canada Stories, where we dig into the foundations of Canada's construction industry, learning from leaders and pioneers in the business.